Okay. So the objectives of this session are to understand why financial management for district grant projects is important, and also to answer some of the how-to questions around project budgeting, tracking actuals, and uploading supporting documents. In past years, the folks entering the final financial and project reports into Club Runner grants have had a lot of questions and some difficulty. So we're hoping that this presentation will make things a little easier this year. Also, please feel free to ask questions as we go along by raising your hand from the Zoom reactions menu. So I'm just looking for that. No. Chat, share, pause. Huh. Where did the reactions menu go? Anyway, if you can't find it, or if I don't see your hand raised, just unmute yourself and let me know that you have a question. So financial management of a project includes creating a budget and then tracking actual expenses against that budget. It provides financial control and transparency for the project by facilitating effective resource allocation and preventing cost overruns. The Rotary Foundation requires proof of responsible stewardship for all the project funding they provide to the district, and that includes both district and global grants. So timely and accurate reporting by the clubs executing the projects provides that required proof. Let's just take a quick look at budget planning, or at budgets. I know that you all submitted budgets when you submitted your project applications. The first step, of course, is to define the project scope and objectives. That is identifying the desired impact of the project and how progress success will be monitored and measured. In other words, what are the key result areas to track progress and success? The deliverables and milestone measurements should also be included in the implementation timeline. So for example, when will the first project deliverable be achieved, the second, the third, and so on? And how will you know that the deliverable has been achieved? Once the key result areas are defined, you can develop a breakdown of both income and expenses and estimate the amounts you will receive from all sources of income, as well as the amounts for all your foreseeable expenses. Make sure that you save the documentation that supports your estimated income and expense amounts. So for example, that could be non-Rotary donor commitments or vendor quotes and estimates. To comply with the District 7080 Financial Management Plan, when you submit your final project report, you will need to upload those documents into the appropriate folder on the Documents tab for your project. In the Club Runner Grants module, all of the items just discussed, except budget, project scope, objectives, key result areas, and the implementation timeline, are all entered into the appropriate section of the application tab of your project, which you completed when you submitted your application last year. And similarly, the budget is entered on the budget tab, and you also completed that. That's part of the project application. So as your project is being executed and project expenses are being incurred, make sure you collect supporting documents as they are received. You know, don't throw them all into a shoebox or, you know, forget where they are. Take care of it as you receive them. All the documents will have to be saved electronically so that they can eventually be uploaded to the Documents tab. So electronic documents, for example, a PDF invoice or a downloaded bank statement, can be saved directly to a computer folder, but hard copies, like a printed letter or a printed receipt, need to be scanned, and the resulting photograph or PDF can then be saved. And there are several different types of supporting documents. So to support the budget numbers that you came up with, you might have quotes or estimates from vendors. You might have budget spreadsheets. To support your income amounts, you You may have bank statements showing deposits or copies of donor checks or e-transfers. To support expense amounts, you will probably have invoices and receipts or invoices marked paid. Proof of payment by the club, you'll have things like bank statements and canceled checks. And to show the deliverables of the project, you might have letters from beneficiaries or photographs. Not every project is going to have all of these supporting documents. It depends on the complexity of the project and really the nature of the project. Financial tracking. To facilitate financial tracking, create a financial summary document that lists budgeted income and expense amounts and allows you to track actual income and expense amounts against the budget. My own preference would be to create an Excel spreadsheet, but if you're more comfortable working with the Word document, that's also acceptable. You'll also want to cross-reference the actual amounts to the document that supports the reported amount. To complete the final report for your project, you need to upload all of the supporting documentation, including your financial summary, to the Documents tab of your project in the Club Runner District Grants module. The Documents tab in Club Runner has been set up with several predefined folders, which are listed here. When you're uploading documents, place each document in the appropriate folder. For example, invoices should be uploaded to the Invoices folder. Invoices marked paid or receipts showing payment should be uploaded to the Receipts folder, and so on. If a document doesn't seem to fit into any of the predefined folders, then you can upload it to the Other Documents folder, or you can create your own folders and subfolders. When your project is completed, that's when you'll be submitting your final project report. Your actual project results will be entered into Club Runner on the Individual Project Report tab, and by answering the 6 questions listed in the project description section. And again, documents that support achieving your project objectives include, but are not limited to, thank you letters from the project beneficiaries, photos of the project deliverables, or a narrative report detailing project results that is compiled by the project beneficiary. Actual income amounts are entered on the Individual Project Report tab in the Financial Report section. And again, upload any documents that support your actual income amounts to the Income folder on the Documents tab. Supporting documents that support income amounts can include things like copies of checks from donors, e-transfers, bank statements, etc. Actual expense amounts are also entered on the Individual Project Report tab by adding expense items to the Financial Report section. Upload any saved documents that support your actual expense amounts to the appropriate folder. Again, invoices would be uploaded to the Invoice folder, receipts would be uploaded to the Receipts folder, etc. Please note that any non-English documents should be translated. At a minimum, dates and amounts need to be expressed using Canadian formats. So for example, month, day, year for dates. If the amounts are converted to dollars Canadian, then the conversion rate used also needs to be shown. Depending on the project, there can be several other types of supporting documents. Any emails with content that significantly impacts the project, for example, an email detailing a material budget change, should be uploaded to the emails pertinent to project folder. The financial summary should be uploaded to the financial summary folder, and thank you letters or project reports written by the project beneficiary should go to the letters from beneficiaries folder. Photographs should be uploaded to the Photos folder. And again, supporting documents that don't seem to fit any of the predefined folders can be uploaded to other documents, or you can create your own folders appropriately named. I'd like to spend some time talking specifically about proof of payment by club documents. These are documents that show club payments made to the project. This is an area that seems to generate the most questions when clubs are uploading their documents. The supporting documents you upload to confirm club payments must provide an audit trail of the payment from beginning to end. So let's look at a couple of scenarios. The first scenario is one that is common to many projects, where a club member pays for a project item with their personal credit card. To show proof of payment by the club, you need to upload 3 supporting documents. First, the receipt showing the credit card purchase, which would be uploaded to the receipts folder. Second, the member's credit card statement showing the purchase, as well as the member's name on the account. That would also be uploaded to the receipts folder. And finally, proof of reimbursement to the member coming from the club. For example, either a copy of the e-transfer to the member or the canceled check issued by the club. Regarding uploading of personal credit card statements to protect privacy, you should redact all information on the uploaded page except the person's name, the last 4 digits of their credit card number, and the line showing the purchase. So you can see that even though it's only one transaction, purchase of a project item, you need 3 supporting documents to show the flow of the money. The second scenario also occurs with many district grant projects and is when the club sends project funds to the project beneficiary. The supporting documents must show the payment by the club and the receipt of the funds by the beneficiary. If the club issues a check for the funds, the club's bank statement showing the canceled check must be uploaded to the proof of payment by club folder. As well, proof of receipt by the check recipient must be uploaded. Usually this would be a copy of the recipient's bank statement showing the deposit of the club's check into their account. Again, to protect privacy, all information on the uploaded page of the recipient's statement can be redacted, except the name on the account and the line showing the deposit. So before we move on, are there any questions about proof of payment? No?
Well, there are a
Okay.
few, getting people to open up their bank accounts and down there where I deal in Central America is very tough. And getting these bank statements and is just very tough. And I've got the company that we did that solar panel with to they'll sign off a letter saying that they received the funds, but they don't want to give us a bank statement.
Okay, and we understand that, and I mean, we'll work with each club, to go through that type of thing. We were in the project that we're actually going to go through. The completed project was an international project that took place in Nigeria, and they had a similar situation. So, but what they were able to provide was printouts, screenshots of the transfers coming from the Canadian account to the Nigerian account, as well as a letter stating that all of the funds used for the project were, came from that amount of money. So, if you can't get a bank statement, there's probably some other kind of supporting documentation that we can get.
I can get supporting documentation. It's just getting the exact one that is hard, but I'll get something.
Yeah.
The other thing that works is a copy of the deposit slip when the recipient puts the money in their account. Usually you have a receipt for the deposit or a deposit book page. That would also help.
What we have is a very grumpy entrepreneur at the other end.
Yeah, but if he wants our money, he shouldn't be so grumpy.
Well, it's not him. You see, this is the thing. The beneficiary is a charity, but the person installing the solar panels is an entrepreneur. And so getting them to play ball, they're already giving this charity a huge break on the price, and they don't think they should have to jump through more hoops.
Yeah, but yeah, we can certainly, work with each club. If it's a problem getting, the usual documentation, we can always find a way around it. But
Sorry,
we
I want to
do
make
need
sure.
proof.
I want to make sure I'm clear
So-
on this because I can't honestly believe what I'm seeing here. You would expect, so I'm in the same position as Bruce. So we've got a vendor who's providing our club with a service. He's delivering furniture on our behalf. You expect that vendor to make a copy of their bank statement?
No, the vendor is not the project beneficiary. Right?
Yes,
project-
It's the furniture.
we paid the project vendor directly. We didn't go through because there's not a Rotary club at the other end. We did not give the money to the charity. We paid the vendor directly.
Okay, well then what we would need is a copy of either the e-transfer or the canceled check
Okay.
that you sent to the vendor, and some kind of a receipt from the vendor showing that his bill was paid.
Okay. Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That makes sense. Yeah.
Sorry, Ingrid, in this case, it says the club sends a check to the project beneficiary. So if they're not sending it to the project beneficiary, then the required documentation would be different.
exactly. I mean, if the club is paying a vendor for a service that they're providing, that's we would still need a copy of the canceled check or the transfer, however it's paid, and then a receipt from the vendor showing that that bill was paid. Okay.
Right.
Any other questions? This is, as I mentioned, this area is the one that causes the most questions or is the source of most questions. But the important thing to remember is we need to be able to show the money trail from the club all the way to its endpoint, whether that's a vendor or whether it's the project beneficiary or whoever it is.
So in my case, I am going through a Canadian charity as access to send the money where it's going. So I can show my books sending the money to the charity. And I got a receipt from the beneficiary showing that they received the money, and it's a stamped receipt.
Okay, then that's good.
That's all.
Yeah. And if
And
those,
then I have
if the,
pictures of the project completed.
right, which shows that the project was completed and that the deliverables were in fact achieved. That's the purpose
Yeah.
of the photographs for the most part. Yeah. So
Yeah, the
whatever
one thing that the one thing that
Go ahead.
I'm not sure about is because that project is part of their two back-to-back projects. We took one part of it because we couldn't afford to cover the whole thing.
Mhm.
So I don't know if any receipts from the vendor would be limited to our case or.
Yeah, but in your
It could.
case, if the check or the amount of money went to the Canadian charity and then they sent it on,
Mhm.
then, in that case, the money would be in the hands of the project beneficiary, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
So then, but what we would need to show is that the money was spent as it was intended.
So even if the receipt is more than our portion of it.
Well, maybe we'd have to look at that, but we need some kind of proof that the money was spent as it was intended.
In other words, we need to document that your Canadian agency actually flowed the money through to your intended beneficiary and have some sort of documentation that whoever you turned the money over to actually spent it in the place that it was supposed to go.
Right. And if it's a
Okay,
problem
we
getting, receipts from vendors, you know, possibly a project report written by the project beneficiary, outlining and, you know, and signing the report. You know, it doesn't necessarily always have to be a receipt or an invoice, but we would look at that on a project by project basis, depending on the circumstances.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Okay, any others? Okay, because this is an area, like I said, the important thing to remember is that we need to follow the money trail from the beginning right to the end. Okay, so before we actually go into the district grants module, I just want to show you some of the how-to resources that are available on the district website. And so this is on the documents and resources page of the Foundation Committee subsite. You can find a sample district grant final project report. You can find a sample financial summary, how to access the district grant module, how to upload documents to the district grant module, completing the individual project report. And there's also a webinar that discusses district grant reporting. And actually, if we can get the recording for this session, a link to that video will also be posted on this list. So let's take a look at a completed district grant project in the Club Runner District Grants module. And I'm just going to go to here. Okay, can you guys all see the district website? Yes, no? Hello?
Yes,
Yeah,
muted.
Okay. Okay, good. So just before we go into the district grant module, I'll show you the screen that we were just looking at on the PowerPoint. So under committees, go to Foundation. And then scroll down here to Documents and Resources. And when the page comes up, you'll see there's 4 sections. One resource containing qualification to the Rotary Foundation, and then 2 sections, one for district grants and one for global grants. And this is where all of those how-to resources are there. The sample project report, financial summary, etc. And this is where we'll add the link to this recording when it's available. So now I'm going to go to the district grants module, which, as you know, is in the member area. And you're going to click on grants. Now, when you guys click on grants, you're probably going to see the first 2 options, submit a grant request and my club grants. Because I'm on the district grant review committee, and Doug, Bob and Tom, of course you'll have access to this district grants, which gives us visibility to all the district grants going back a number of years. And I'm going to pull up a grant where the application was submitted in 2022-23. Okay, we had 16 projects that year. The reason we had so many 22-23 was a double cohort year. So we had more projects than usual. And the one we're going to look at is one that was done by the Rotary Club of Milton, STEM for Underprivileged Youth in Nigeria. So this This project was essentially to provide textbooks to a number of schools in Nigeria. The estimated budget was 12,000, and the grant request was for 6,000. So we'll just have a quick look at the budget. Okay, so these were their expected expenses relating to logistics and administration, publicity, and the books themselves. Package B, which were math and science, and Package A, which were physics, chemistry, and biology. The budget was entered in Nigerian naira and then converted to Canadian dollars. And you can see that the budget was for 12,000. And as far as funding was concerned, 6,000 was being contributed by the Rotary Club of Milton, and the other 6,000 was the district grant. Oops. Okay, so now we'll go to the project report. And in the project description section, you can see that the six questions have all been answered. And these detail the project deliverables, what the deliverables were, who the beneficiaries were, in this case, 4 different schools, and Rotarian involvement, how many Rotarians participated and what they did. And I'm just going to go to documents so you can see the type of things that they uploaded into the documents tab to show that those deliverables were achieved. So back in 22-23, we did not have a predefined photos folder. So they put their photos under other documents and just created a subfolder, books, delivery, and distribution pictures. And I think actually it was after this project that we decided we needed a photos subfolder to be defined. Okay. And I'll just show you a couple of the photos. So this picture shows the kids receiving the books once it paints. Okay. And this photo shows a picture of the biology textbook. This one shows a photo of the chemistry textbook. And this one shows an event where the books were distributed at one of the schools. So, I mean, they really uploaded a lot of photos, just, you know, at several different phases and distribution points. So, and so these photos support the project deliverables that were described in the project description. And then going back to the financial report of the final project report, you can see that there's only one income line item, which was a $12,000 check that was issued to Agisola, who is a member of the Rotary Club of Milton. And for expenses, they listed the expenses. So the books included in Package A, the notebooks, the books included in Package B, and then a number of expenses related to warehousing, printing, logistics, and administration. Again, the actual expense amounts are noted in the local currency, Nigerian naira, and converted to Canadian dollars. So you'll see that the total of the expenses is $12,082.68. The income, of course, is $12,000. So there was a small overage there. And now we'll just go to the Documents tab to show you the supporting documents. Okay, so proof of payment by club. The first document is a copy of the check, the $12,000 check. It's thinking. There we go. So you can see it was issued to the Rotary, issued by the Rotary Club of Milton to Adjasola, $12,000. The next document is Adjasola's bank statement that shows the deposit. Which is right here. And you can see that, you know, all the other lines have been redacted. And at the top, you can see that it is his account. And then these three transfer documents are the documents that show the transfer from the Canadian bank to the UBA bank in Nigeria. So the first transfer was for 4,500, 1,500, and 3,000. The second was for another $4,500 here, UBA 3,000, UBA 1,500. And finally, the last transfer, which was for $3,000, UBA 1,500 and UBA 1,500. Now, as I described, in this particular case, we didn't have a notification, or we didn't have documentation to show that the $12,000 was actually spent on all of the notebooks. So in this case, we got a letter or an email, actually, email confirmation on the use of funds that that explicitly said that all of the notebooks and the textbooks were paid for using the $12,000 that was transferred to the Nigerian bank. So, you know, we can always find a way to get the right documentation to support the reported results. And so, as you can see, even for one check of $12,000, there's 5 supporting documents. And depending on how many supporting documents you have, it can get very, it can be difficult to track, you know, what belongs with what. And that's why you need a financial summary. Oh, I guess I have to share that. Hang on. So this is the financial summary document that that RC Milton created for this project. So it simply lists, to the top here, it lists the document name, the name that they gave the document when they uploaded it to the Documents tab. It lists where on the Documents tab the document is located. In this case, all of them are in the Proof of Payment by Club folder. It lists a reference number and an amount, if applicable. And in the comments, they specify what the document shows. So the check is very straightforward. The bank statement shows the deposit of the $12,000 into an RBC account, and then the transfer documents show the transfer of the various amounts, 4,500, 4,500, and 3,000 from RBC to UBA. And then similarly, for each expense, they note the name they gave the document when they uploaded it to the Documents tab, where it's located, in this case, receipts and receipts for notebooks, or this one is receipts for package A, and the Canadian dollar amount and the vendor. So I'll just go back into the Documents tab. So this is the receipts for package A. And this is the name of the document, 2024-07-05, Africana First Publishers. And you can see this is a photograph of an invoice marked paid. And the amount was for 5,548,500 Naira paid to Africana First Publishers. And going back to the financial report, that particular invoice applies to this line item. There's our 5,548,500 and the corresponding Canadian dollar amount. And so for each of these line items, there is a corresponding supporting document in the Documents tab. But you can see that without a financial summary document, it would be difficult to track, because, you would just have all these documents and you'd have to look at each one individually and figure out where they all belonged, whereas the financial summary does that for you. And because there were so many documents in this particular project, they did create, a separate tab with the documents, but this is actually the financial summary here. And so again, it's, it shows the $12,000 and that it was deposited and transferred. And then they list the 4 expenditures, the 4 expenditure line items, which correspond to the financial report in the district grants module. And there they are. And again, with the total of $12,082.68. I know that's a lot of back and forth. Are there any questions about any of that? Anything you want to look at in more detail in the district grant module?
Ingrid, so you showed us there was an invoice and it was marked paid, which isn't technically a receipt. It's an invoice that has the word paid on it.
That's correct.
So that's sufficient?
As opposed to what then?
Sometimes you'll have an actual receipt generated from the vendor after, he gets your money, showing that,
Absolutely. It really depends on the country, and especially in like a country like Nigeria, it's still very much, or at least at that time, it was still very much a cash society, no computerized forms. And so, yes, an invoice marked paid is sufficient. But, if you're, if the project is somewhere local, well, I mean, if a company is still using this type of form, it would be sufficient. But, if a project is taking place in Canada, more than likely you would get a printed sales receipt. But it really depends on the country. I think we had a project, I think it was in Guatemala, and they have moved to, you know, an electronic invoice system countrywide. And so the invoice was generated electronically, and when it was paid, you didn't get a receipt, but it generated a new document number that it then attached to the original invoice, and that was your receipt. So it really depends on the country. Okay, then we'll go back to the PowerPoint. Okay, so the key to effective financial management of a project is to maintain accurate records and to stay organized. Collect and save your supporting documents as they are received. Remember that your documents need to be saved electronically, either directly if they are received electronically, or by scanning hard copies and saving them as PDFs or photos. And a financial summary, either a spreadsheet or a text document, is absolutely necessary to organize all the documents that support each income and expense line item. And remember that you can upload documents to the appropriate folder on the documents anytime. You do not need to wait until the project is completed. And I'll also mention that meeting the reporting deadline of June 15th is extremely important. Once all of the reports for the district grant projects being executed have been submitted, the District Grant Review Committee reviews each report for accuracy and completeness and will follow up with the project contact to resolve any questions or concerns. Our goal is to complete all the reviews by June the 30th. The reports are then consolidated into the district's annual district grant report, which is then sent to the Rotary Foundation for their review and approval. And it's only when TRF has approved the district's report that the funds are released for the next year's district grant projects. So if one club doesn't file on time, it means, well, not only that payment to the sponsoring clubs will be delayed, but also approval for the next year's projects will be delayed. So it's really important to file your reports no later than June 15th and earlier if possible. If you don't need to wait until June, you can file your report as soon as the project is completed, and the District Grant Review Committee will review reports as they are received, and it makes our life a lot less stressful if most of the reports are received before June. Especially this year, we have 13 projects. That's a lot of reports to review in a 2-week time frame. And that's it. Thank you for attending. Are there any last questions?
How easy was AI to generate this stuff, Ingrid?
Oh, I loved it. Hang on, I just want to stop sharing here. Oh, how do I stop sharing?
There should be an X by the share right at the bottom.
Yeah, I know, but there isn't.
Where the green arrow is, click on the green arrow.
Yeah, and it brings that up.
You should close that off.
Yeah, but that's, oh, I see. No, if I hit share, it just shares.
You have a little dialogue.
Oh, there it is.
At the top.
I see it. I found it. Sorry about that. Yeah, so you guys have my contact info, isproxto@hotmail.ca. Let me know if you want a copy of this presentation, but hopefully if I can get the recording and upload it to the district YouTube channel, it will be available on the district website. And that's it. Thanks so much for attending.
Thanks, Ingrid.
Thanks, Ingrid.
Have a great evening.
Thanks, Ingrid.
Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot.